Hi, hello everybody. My name is Turk. Welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Today, my friends, we continue our solo Walking Dead Universes game using Mythic 2E, this game we've been doing for a while. Thank you so much for joining. Cool Couch. First of all, I want to say thanks, guys. There's a couple people who actually went back and rewatched the first season. Technically, I'm calling this season 2, but we're just kind of doing a few more episodes here for Ghoul Couch. Just by the way, you should have probably about 10 more days to pick up the Ghoul Couch t-shirt, and you can get it on our website. It's a limited edition thing that we only do once a year, and I think currently you can actually get all the Ghoul Couch t-shirts we've ever released because we have currently been moving from Twitch over to YouTube, and so all of our new community members, I want to give the opportunity to get them. And if you have ideas or opinions about any of the merch or anything like that, please join the Discord. Let me know. Give me some feedback. I would love to have it. And links to everything will be down there in the description. Also, links to all the tools and things that I'm using today on the show. Yeah, and by using those links, it helps support the show. Yes, YouTube jibber jabber. Appreciate you guys for sitting through that. But it is important to do. Stay informed, weirdos. Right. Anyways, welcome back, my friends. I believe today is technically episode 10, but it's going to be season 2, episode 2. And we're going to continue right off in our Walking Dead Universes game. But I think before we do, I'm going to double check to see if there's any comments we need to cover. So, Certi Illusion, I hope I'm saying that right, has the idea for a character suggestion to do a preacher with some kind of late stage alcoholism for nihilist vibes. It's a good idea. If we get something that pops up, we'll fit her in. So Rex is the one who's finally caught up. 8 hours. I didn't realize the first season was that much. That's crazy. I mean, 8 episodes. They're all about 30 minutes to an hour. That makes sense. Gabi-chan Plays also has very nice words and questions, which hopefully we can make sure that we get done on our next update video here in November. Yes, we'll talk about some more things, but also just excited that I'm inspiring other people to do solo plays, right? It's honestly the name of the game here. I want to share ideas and thoughts and ideas because it's such a cool hobby, you know? So heck yeah. Sacred Art of Gaming as well. Shout out Sacred Art of Gaming. In one of my last videos, or one of their last videos, they actually did a quick review of the Walking Dead TTRPG. And they did a little shout out thing for me that I just got the craziest kick out of because they unironically did like my intro thing and outro. It was just beautiful. So shout out Sacred Art of Gaming, my friends. Make sure to go and check them out, okay? Because honestly, really good Dragonbane stuff from Sacred Art of Gaming over there as well. Heck yeah. Also, a bunch of you guys are trying to help me out when it comes to Mythic and the Chaos Factor and stuff. I realized that's what I was doing later. I really like having my Chaos Factor set at 9 is the thing, because I really like random events. So anytime I get doubles, I want there to be a random event because it's going to give me more words, more descriptors, more things, right? So I like to keep it set at 9, and I've been playing analog a lot recently, so I totally just forgot that changed the outcome of the fate questions. If I do decide to increase the Chaos Factor in the future, whenever I do fate questions, I'm just going to do the numbers in my head and not pay attention to what Foundry says yes or no, right? Because 50-50, under 50 is yes, over 50 is a no. Even if my Chaos Factor is set at 9, that's what I'm going to stick with. And I don't feel like it operated like that, but I guess when the update happened, it actually updated it, and now it's operating the way it's supposed to and whatever. But I appreciate y'all for your help and your advice, really, truthfully. Thank you so much. If I'm ever doing anything wrong or rules wrong or anything else like that, please feel free to let me know in the comments because I'm only one guy. That's right. One guy, one die, baby. Arcane Dean did also like the time jump. Thank God. I was worried that people were going to like the time jump. All right. That's YouTube comments out of the way. Thanks, everybody, for your nice, beautiful comments. And please remember, if you have ideas or things you want to include or anything else like that, leave them down there. And I'll do my best to read them and respond to them. Because, yeah, currently I still have the ability to respond to everything. So, heck yeah. And our story continues, my friends. There are some things we went over in the previous episode. But one of the things I want to remind ourselves of are the current threats and rumors that we want to try and handle as soon as we possibly can. So the Ya faction, from what we know and what we believe, could potentially currently be occupying the stained glass window factory that is a few blocks away to the north of us. And we know that Letitia Thornton was staying in there. She was a little girl. She's kind of young, but she sold like medical supplies and stuff. She was kind of like a healer. And so we don't know what happened with her. But before we can go up against the Ya faction, we need more supplies and more people because from what we can see, they are huge in number. And even though they're completely insane and they're all about art and like painting dead people's skulls and stuff, we need to be prepared. because we have a lot to lose. We're currently building out a lot in our world, and the question is I just wonder how well that would go if we were to go up against them now. So we can't really chase after them and figure out what's going on with Letitia. I just hope that we can get to Letitia soon enough, because if we wait too long, they're probably going to like indoctrinate her into their faction. You know, she's going to become one of them, and then they're going to have a healer on their side, and that's not what we want. So another thing going on right now is the house that is just like a couple lots over. I mean, it's like our neighbor almost, just a few houses down, and they have a bunch of walkers chained up out front as like defenses. And one of the things we learned was that Torka actually seen a rumor when he was on a scouting mission and actually seen some of the Yaw people steal things out of their backyard / house. Torka's seen them sneaking around over there, and he suspects that they stole some stuff. And that's about as much as we know. But what I'm thinking, sequence of events here. I want to go to the chained walker house, figure out who lives there, because it could be David, right? We're talking about a guy named David in the last episode. There was a comment about that. It could actually be that person, but I want to go over there and figure out that house, because it could also be just like a good place to have if there are friends, you know, get them as like a trader, whatever. And then after that, maybe we can go to the mall to get some stuff, and then maybe go up against the Yaw faction, or at least start investigating them a little bit more. Because Havenwood assets that we currently have are resources. We have a working freezer, we have candles, squirrel meat, and we have some rations and water, rations of water, sorry. We also have partial electricity that was restored because Big Mike Ross's electric fence was actually messing up the electric grid. But now that he's staying with us, we have current temporary power that isn't perfect, but it does suffice. And then we have our 3 cars, and that's pretty much it. So getting any kind of weapons, we got like some extra, like a shovel and a hammer, stuff like that, but no real kind of like weapons. We have a crossbow and a machete. Those are the only like real weapons I know that we have. But I think also Big Mike has a revolver, which kind of helps, but not if we're going up against a whole faction of people. So that's our current plan. That's currently what is going down here. But before we can do all of that, and I also want to say up here at the top, what I just did right there was kind of like a recap, figuring out what our issues are, what our supplies are. In the actual book, for anybody else who wants to play, it does actually have like a guide on like exactly what you're supposed to go over. You can roll on Haven issues to figure out all your issues, and you can update your projects. There's like a structured way to do it. It kind of like guides you to push you forward. But I've just kind of found myself naturally doing these things and not really needing the assistance from the book in that way. And some of the ways that they do it seems not fun, a little bit like homework to me. So I kind of like the way my brain just naturally kind of figures out these issues and pushes things forward. You know what I mean? But if you are trying to figure out how to play in the solo section, it does actually go over all of that. There's challenge clocks, rumors, Haven projects, and challenges that you go over in each solo play session. I do think one thing I need to start doing is definitely figuring out walker swarms eventually. It has been 7 months. I don't think right now we're at a place where walker swarms are really an issue, but I think as soon as we start messing with the mall, there could be a walker swarm there. We could potentially let them out, and that might be an issue later on or something, you know? So once we get there, we're going to start rolling on walker swarms. But right now, I think we're okay. I don't know. You guys let me know what you but there's also like faction clocks is one other thing I wanted to talk about. Like factions get clocks and they kind of like move forward, but we were even naturally just moving the faction forward without even thinking about the clocks. But there are like mechanics in the system to help you in that one. So see, here are the clocks: rumor clocks, faction clocks, in-game clock, right? And then what we could potentially do, and I think the game even asks you to do that, it actually says roll on the luck oracle to see if a herd has moved into your Haven's general area, and then you roll and then you do the thing. So that is probably something we can start. Anyways, that's enough of our homework and our recap. I think it's now time to go on to the next step. We're just going to role play a little bit before we go on to our adventure. So let's visualize. I think our story is going to begin in the late afternoon, and light is coming into the cracked stained glass windows of Havenwood, all the different colored lights all over the burnt and scarred floorboards of the church. The first character we see is Jay, leaning up against the wall, sharpening his axe with rhythmic precision, right? Because he's finally gotten it fixed, and he loves his axe. His hat's pushed back, sweat on his brow, and then he glances towards Aiden, who's sitting cross-legged near the altar, drawing and sketching in a half-burned notebook about plants and notes that he's been taking from all the gardening he's been doing. Aiden probably pokes out his tongue in concentration, pencil scratching as he brings images of plants to life on the page. Every so often looks up and grins, thinking maybe that this world is still worth drawing, you know. Moving around, we probably see Cece perched halfway up at the bell tower ladder, working on the radio again, trying to fix the antenna, and her voice echoing down as she mutters to herself, kind of incoherent words echoing a little bit. As a tangle of wires, she's untangling them with her hands, saying something like, I could just get this frequency table, it might actually hear some static. I think Pooch is down at her feet, sprawled out with a lazy sigh, his tail just thumping every time her feet move on the ladder. Then we've got Torka lounging somewhere by the open doorway, his spear across his knees. Maybe he has like some kind of, what would Torka be doing? An instrument. That's our first question. Does Torka have like an old guitar maybe that he found? 49, so that's a yes. Barely, so it's kind of broken. It is a broken guitar, so he's tuning some old guitar that he found from who knows where on one of his scavenging runs. All the notes kind of imperfect, but they're still slightly filling the silence in a way that makes all these ruins feel a little less haunted, you know? In between chords, he probably tosses jokes over at Jay about Cece's mad scientist tower, earning a half smile from Jay and maybe a roll of his eyes. And then we've got Big Mike Ross, the newest piece of our strange little puzzle. He's probably outside by the side wall, sleeves rolled up, using a hammer that looks too small for his hands, but it's definitely the hammer that Jay was using previously as a weapon, and we probably noticed that visually. And every swing that he hits makes the boards and the walls shudder a little bit, and he probably says something under his breath as well, like, this place ain't gonna stand to the next storm if we don't brace it right and tight. His voice steady. Maybe as he says that, Jay kind of comes outside too and sees him there and says, hey, you know, we've survived worse than the wind. The storm comes through, we'll be fine. And Mike probably grunts and says, wind don't sneak up and eat you. Storm comes in, it'll just tear your roof right off. And Torka probably hears from the porch and he's like, yeah, man, the guy's got a point. Maybe Aiden sets down his book and stands up as well and says, hey, Big Mike, do you think you could help me build a shelf later for my sketchbooks? And then maybe Mike pauses mid-swing and turns and looks at him and goes, yeah, kid, we'll do that. And then once their conversation settles, I think, audibly, the only sounds are the crackle of Cece's radio, the rhythm of Mike's hammer, and the tuning of Torka's guitar. And for a second, the apocalypse feels far away, like we have stolen a pocket of peace from the end of the world. And I think Jay looks around and sees that, because we can even hear the pencil scratching of his little brother drawing, and he nods, mostly to himself, and just says, yeah, we're making this place our own. I think that that's pretty good, but I think as the sun begins to set, they all gather together inside the main hall of Havenwood, and they go over inventory, much like we did in the beginning. And they're like, we have the vegetables, but are they fruiting now is a good question. Like, we have squirrel meat and vegetables, but are they fruiting now? I'm gonna call it unlikely because we just planted them. It's been a couple months, you know, it takes a little bit for them to fruit. So 32, yes. Okay, so we've got our vegetables, that's good. A little bit of squirrel meat, we're doing okay. Do we have a week's worth of food? 50-50. No. Do we have more than that? Yes. Do we have 2 weeks worth of food? No. What am I doing to myself? Do we have 12 days? Yes. Okay, we got 12 days worth of food. So I think they're sitting around, and I think Jay looks up from like the fire in front of them because sun's going down. So they're probably like burning old scripture and stuff in here. And he looks up to the group and he's like, all right, here's what's going to happen tonight. Me and Aiden really want to go on a run with my little brother. We're going to go together a few houses down. We're going to see if we can meet the person that lives in that house. See what they're about. See if they want to join us. See if they're even alive in there anymore. And while we're gone, you three are going to go on NPC runs. That's right, baby. We're going to do a little bit of the actual mechanics from the game. If you look here, we have NPC runs. When NPCs go on runs and return, there's a chance that they will come back with a rumor in addition to something of value, which we're going to do for all three of these guys. Set the odds based on the NPC run results. And we haven't actually been using the luck oracle at all because we've been using the mythic oracle. So we're going to, transcribe that a little bit. And then we'll roll on the scavenging table as well to see if they actually return with anything. Because that's one thing I feel like I was missing in the first season was doing these NPC runs runs, and I was kind of just making sure there was someone there taking care of the kid and everything else. So it's one of the things we're going to start doing. But he looks and he goes, while they're out running, looking for stuff, me and you, Aiden, are you ready? And I think he's like, yeah, let's go see if we can make some new friends. I think Jay's like, look, I don't know if they're going to be friendly or not, okay? We might get over there and we might have to do something that we don't want to do, all right? So just prepare yourself. I'm going to get everything together and we'll leave in 5, all right? And he goes, yeah, of course. And he turns, I think he puts his books down and starts packing up his bag, and everything's what he does. Heck yeah. And I'm also thinking that maybe even Cece's little NPC run is actually going to do with her radio. So we're going to do rolls on Cece with the radio. So she's going to stay here and do the radio thing. I think is exactly what we're going to do. But moving on, Aiden and Jay pack up their bags and they got their weapons, and Aiden's got his crossbow, Jay's got his big axe, and they leave. They start walking down the street towards the house, which is only a few lots down. And before they get all the way to it, Jay nudges Aiden and points at his binocular, and he goes, all right, little bro, what do you see? And he's gonna pull up his binoculars and start looking towards the house. And we actually haven't even described this very much previously, so it might be a good thing to do. So I want to remind ourselves about the theme oracle here in the Walking Dead RPG core rule set. If you decide to just play with this, I want to remember that it's here, but currently we aren't really going to use it. What we are going to use is element meaning locations. So a couple of words. Let's see, maybe what open and meaningful. I don't know what meaningful. What I was trying to do was actually roll to see if there was like a fence or something else, but now I'm just envisioning a pole that has been cemented in the ground and there are walkers chained to it. I want to roll d6s to see how many walkers, or I want to roll d4s to see how many walkers are chained up there. I'm going to roll a d4 to see how many d4. 1. Okay. Well, 1d4. There are 4 walkers chained up. But here's what I'm thinking. Aiden raises his binoculars, squinting, through the cracked lenses of them. I think he says, all the windows are open. Like someone wants all the windows open. They're all of them, purposefully open. Jay looks and sees, he's like, yeah, I can kind of see that actually. And this is a very important roll. Is the door also open? I'm going to call it unlikely. That's a 41. On unlikely, that's a no. So the door is not open. That's good. So Jay's like, windows are open, but the door's shut. So what do you think, little man? What do we do? There's a part of me that wants to roll stealth and go up and listen because the windows are open. So if there's something going on the inside, like someone who's still alive, and we'll be able to hear something. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to roll stealth. Jay has a pretty good agility and a pretty good stealth. Do we have any abilities or talents that'll help us in this? Do not think so. No. Okay. How many successes do we think we need? There are walkers outside, so we have to sneak past them. But it's just 4 walkers. It's not like 10 or something. So I think just 1 success will be fine. 0 successes for Jay. Okay, before we push the roll, because we could do that, which I really haven't done very much. Before we push it, let's also roll for 8. 0 successes for 8. They both got failures. So what does that mean? Is there more security than just walkers? That kind of makes sense. I mean, someone's prepped up. Good question. Is there more security than just walkers? No. So there's no traps or nothing. Good. The odds of not getting a single 6 on 16 d6 is crazy. Somebody do the math on that. What is the odds of that? So as we both turn to sneak across this yard, maybe the yard's kind of small, and we start taking a couple of steps, and one of the walkers immediately sees us and then snaps the chain taut, and it pulls on the pole, and he just reaches out his hands and like screeches this walker, and then all the other 3 move and turn, and all 4 of them are now reaching directly at us. And the issue though is we can see that the pole, since all 4 of the walkers are pulling the chains as tight as they possibly can, the pole is like starting to come out of the ground, you know what I mean? And Jay's like, Aiden, move, and they rush across the yard around the walkers, and they reach the porch, and the walkers are slowly moving around, but you could see that this pole is still super loose in the ground, like it could come out. And as we reach the door, call it likely, are we greeted by anyone? Yes. Okay. Now, because there was a comment from Saoirse Leuton, I'm horrible with usernames. Okay. If you want to leave me pronunciation for your username down in the comments, let me know. But Saoirse Leuton left a comment that said, maybe there's a preacher, some kind of late stage alcoholism for the nihilist vibes that could have been robbed, right? And they do live like next door to the church. So maybe it makes sense for it to be the preacher that lives nearby. So I actually want to ask a fake question. I'm going to call it very likely. So 75 or lower, the person who greets us, is it this potential preacher? 49. Yes. Okay, that's good news. Okay, now we have our NPCs and animals. In here, there are NPC reactions. so we can roll to see what his initial reaction is to us as we reach the porch here before we build out this scene. Let's roll a d6. That's a 5. Oh, he's hostile. His initial reaction is hostile. Okay. I'm just thinking here. I'm just trying to paint out this scene here. It's pretty good, you guys. It's pretty good. Okay. Jay and Aiden make it to the porch. Just as the pole behind them with all the walkers gives another groan as they pull, tilting slightly underneath the strain as these walkers are just growling towards them. And I think as they step onto the first step of this house, the boards creak underneath all their boots. And Jay's hand is on his axe handle. Aiden's breath is shallow because they both just got done running and they're ready to bolt even further if that pole behind them gives way. And then I think a voice cuts through, rough, slurred, but loud enough to stop them cold, right? Don't you bother sneaking up. And then a man steps into the doorway, framed by the dim yellow light of a lantern that he probably is carrying. And he's in a preacher's coat. He's got that classic white underneath the black collar, but I think his shirt's like unbuttoned and stained on the collar. And he's got a half-empty bottle swinging lazily from his fingertips. And his hair's gone a little bit gray. His eyes are glassy but sharp, you know, like unpredictable, nihilist kind of anger, the kind that can make or break a situation depending on whatever side that you're on. I think when he says that, Jay raises his hand, palms out, axe still in one hand though, and says, "We're not looking for trouble." And then the preacher laughs, dry, bitter sound. Trouble's all we got left, son. Just pick the flavor. And he leans against the door frame, just squinting at him. And I think when he does that, Jay can see that there is a rifle in his other hand. Maybe the lantern was like on a shelf behind him, so that's why he's like lit up like that. And there's a rifle in his right hand, like a single shot, bolt action rifle, like nothing fancy, something that you would get like is a hand-me-down from like an uncle who was in the war or something. And as he squeezes it, you could hear the gun make that like click noise, you know what I mean? That I think he says, "You two just make enough noise and wake more of the dead. Oh wait, looks like you already did." And he swings his rifle and points it up towards the pole. And I think as he does, Jesse dodges a little bit as the point of the rifle, the gun swings up past him. Aiden doesn't really move because Aiden's not really used to guns like that. And as he points the walker's strain on the pole again, pull it a little bit. And then Aiden shifts in his feet and goes, "Jay?" And Jesse goes, "I see him." And his eyes just stay on the preacher. And I think he leans in a little closer to the preacher. He says, "We just need a place to wait out the night. We can move on at first light. You looking for some company?" And the preacher tilts his bottle a little bit, maybe spills a little bit out and goes, "Ain't no one waiting anything out around here. World's done waiting. You got a choice." And does he give them a good choice? He was hostile towards them, you know? Does he give them some kind of ultimatum? We're going to do a fate question. I'm going to raise the chaos factor just for extra descriptors in case we do doubles. We'll do 50-50 to keep it simple. Does he give them an ultimatum of good or bad? Maybe something to do with letting them in. Exceptional, yes. On a 10. Okay, good news. He goes, "You got a choice. You can come in, share a drink. Maybe listen to me, my words. Don't you say anything bad, we gonna have problems. Or you can stay out here in the cold with the walkers. Fuck off, make your own way." And I think with that, I think Jay studies him a little bit, stares, like there's a silence with just the walkers behind him, and he doesn't say, maybe he thinks that there's gotta be something alive behind that cynicism, you know? Obviously, this preacher man has seen some bad thing. Probably, I mean, he's a preacher, you know, running a church, and then when the world ends and everyone around him dies, and you know, it's tough. So he's lost his gospel. All he's got left is survival. And Aiden looks at Jay in the silence and just says, "Jay?" And he breathes out through his nose, "Guess we're coming in." And the preacher smirks. "Well, come on in then." Swings around this rifle and this bottle that just spills stuff on the floor. And the door creaks shut behind them as the wind howls through the open yard, rattling the chains that were left there. As we go inside, what do we see? What do we feel? What do we smell? The windows are open because why? They're left open for a reason. They were left open meaningful. So we gotta remember that. Let's roll on this theme oracle here, which is 3d6, and the first 6 picks which row you roll on, and then the other 2 are the numbers. So 3d6. It is 641. And then we have 41, which is security. I don't know. Modiphius, I gotta be real. Why do I keep doing that? I don't know, Free League. I gotta be real. I don't think I like your theme oracle very much. I just gotta tell you, I don't know. We're giving it a shot. But security? Aiden and Jay step inside, and as they take a few steps, one of the first things that happens is they kick empty bottles that are all over the floor. And they're not beer bottles, they are whiskey bottles that are empty on the floor. The place in here is a mess. It looks like a man who has completely given up and is ready to just end it. And I think there's probably a couple of old wooden chairs. He's a preacher, so he probably didn't really spend a lot of money on his home whenever the world was all together, because he spent all his time in the church and probably didn't really believe in material possessions. So there's probably just some old wooden chairs and a little table with that lantern on it that we were talking about earlier. And they sit down with him. As for security, I think maybe this man has more than one rifle. Does he have more than one rifle? Does he have a bunch of guns in here? 50-50. Keep the chaos rank up, but lower than 50 is a yes. It's a 38. Yes. He's got more than one gun. Roll a d4 to see how many dice I should roll. 3 dice. Okay, 3d6. How many more guns can we just see? Just visually by looking around. 11. Okay. As we sit, I think the old guy's about to start talking, but I want to know how well maybe Jesse's going to talk in this conversation. So I want to roll a manipulation, but he doesn't have anything else. He does have his little brother with him, which is his NPC Anchor, and his drive is to train his little brother. So maybe we can get an extra d6 from a drive here, showing his little brother how to talk to people like this. 1 success, maybe 0. Okay, so he's not going to be much of a help in this conversation. Maybe Aiden is. We'll just roll his 2 dice. Also not much of a help in this conversation. So we see 11 other guns in here. The old preacher pulls out 2 more glasses and pours whiskey in both of them, and he holds them both out to Aiden and to Jesse. And Jesse looks at Aiden and says, "You ain't gonna like that." And Aiden goes, "Well, I've never had it. How do you know if I wouldn't like it or not? I see you and Mike drink this stuff sometimes." He goes, "I know, but I promise you ain't gonna like that." But I think Jesse's like, you can have a sip though, but this is the only one, all right? No more." And Aiden goes, "Okay." And the old preacher goes, "Come on, what has he got to lose? You still want to obey the law? Let the little kid get drunk." And Jesse goes, "Okay." Still hand on his axe, right? And in this situation, Jesse's going to pretend to drink. So he holds it up and he cheers with him and Aiden, and he pretends, and we watch Aiden. Does he take the drink? Well, I'm going to call it nearly impossible. First of all, it's a 22. No, but 22. Unexpected random event. NPC action. Overthrow. Danger. What? Oh, what? I thought we were in control of this situation. I don't think we actually are. Okay. This is not good. Let's play this out. Aiden tries to be polite. I think he takes a sip. He immediately coughs it back up, eyes watering. And of course, the preacher laughs, deep, raw, and unhinged, and says like, "First taste of truth always burns, boy." And Jay forces a grin, pretending to sip his own whiskey while keeping an eye on the wall of guns, because Jay does not trust this man. Something about the preacher's posture, the way that he grips his bottle, and the way that he's just given up and has nothing else to lose makes him feel on edge. And then I think after that everything goes still, and his laughter kind of dies mid-breath. And the room shifts from awkward to dangerous. And he says, "You don't think I see it?" He mutters, low voice. "You come in here with those hungry eyes, looking at all my stuff and my guns. You think I don't know what people want now? They want my stuff, my house, my guns. Y'all, you already been here robbing me in the night. I hear you out there." I think Jay straightens up in his chair, trying to keep a good tone, and he just says, "Nobody wants your stuff, old man. We're just here to stay high, to say hi, and to get a roof over our heads for the night." "Roof? Ain't no roofs anymore. Ain't no God either. Just us. What we take, what we keep. You think you could walk in here and overthrow me in my own damn house? Took my church too, didn't you?" And I think when he says that, he kicks the table, sends the whiskey bottle skittering across the floor. It slams against the stove, the flame inside the lit candle catching for a split second before dying back down. I think Jay sees this, the flame in this lantern, and sees all the whiskey that just spilled on the floor. And then the preacher staggers towards the wall, and he grabs his rifle with jerky, drunken precision and swings it around. And I don't think he aims yet, but he brandishes it like, you know what I mean? He has intentions. And he says, "You want to take what's mine? Try it, and I'll show you what faith I got left." and Aiden gasps, ducks behind Jay. The room just smells like liquor, nasty gun oil, and Jay takes a slow step forward, hands out, voice low. Easy, nobody's taking anything. You're drunk. Sit down before you do something stupid, because this is Jesse's worst nightmare. Aiden's here, and Jesse does not ever want to kill another human being for fear of Aiden figuring out about his past of killing, and now he's stuck in this situation. But the preacher's just mad, rambling. They took my frock, they took my wife, they took my God. And tears start coming down his face. And ain't nobody taking my guns. Then I think he cocks the rifle, and the click is so loud, it's like thunder in Jesse's ears. And in that moment, Jay's mind flips, and it runs hot with instinct. He can see the preacher's hand shaken. He can see that he's too drunk to aim straight, but just sober enough to pull the trigger, and the house feels like breathing on its own. And Aiden whispers behind Jay and says, Jay? And Jay's voice drops to a growl, and he says, get behind me. And outside, I want to ask a yes or no question in this moment. If we remember the pole that had all the walkers on it, from that loud cocking of the gun, do the walkers pull off the pole and rush the house to the open window? I'm going to call it nearly certain. Yes. So outside we hear it. The chains rip. The pole comes out of the ground. Chained walkers moans. They just moan super loud, and all three of them can sense the movement through the window. The preacher laughs again, ragged. The sound that echoes off the walls, and he says, hear that? Judgment's here already. And he raises the rifle, and the wood on the porch just creaks as the walkers step up. And in this moment, we need to take an action. I'm thinking I want to do a close combat check, and being that we're up against a man who is completely shit-faced and distracted from zombies outside, I want to put an extra 3 dice on this to give us a total of 9 potential dice for a close combat roll. Grab this gun out of this dude's hands, and maybe more if we succeed enough. I'm gonna give him another one too, because we're training our little brother what to do in this situation. It's a total of 10 dice. Don't fail me now, Jesse. Come on now. Oh my fucking God. That's 0. We're gonna push. We have to push. We just have to. So he's getting a stress. So the good thing is we got 2 successes. But since we had a stress die, we also rolled on the stress die. And I'm assuming this skull means that we failed the stress, which means now we have to roll a panic roll, which I don't think we've actually done yet. And it doesn't matter, just so you know, if you succeed or fail on this roll. If you hit the 1 on the stress, you still panic. And when you panic, you do 1d6 plus your current stress level, which is 1. So we're going to be rolling a 1d6 here. And we want to get as low as possible. So 1d6 plus 1. That's a 4, which is a 5. So we keep it together. We hold on. Nothing worse happens. But I think in the fiction here, Jay is so fucking stressed because he's worried about potentially killing a person right now. But here's what happens. The walkers rush and reach to the windows, which scares the drunk man a little bit. And he turns. And as he goes to turn, Jesse grabs the front of the gun, this rifle, and swings it and hits this old preacher in the face with the butt of the gun. And he falls, crumbles to the ground immediately. And he turns to Aiden and he goes, find the back door. And Aiden takes off. And Jesse just starts grabbing all of these guns, literally as much as he possibly can. He's putting them in his backpack. We're going to roll on everything that he does get. From what we've seen, there was 11. And I actually want to make a scout roll for both of these guys, just to see if they can find anything more than this. Okay, we rolled the scout, but we failed. So Jesse's too focused. He finds nothing else. But Aiden got 2 successes, so he does find some other stuff, maybe some hidden guns, maybe something. We're gonna roll on scavenging in a minute to see exactly what he has, because Aiden's just gonna grab that stuff and just throw it in his bag, and he's gonna, obviously he succeeded, so he's gonna find the back door. And he runs back to Jay and he goes, found some stuff, also back door, let's go. And Jesse turns to Aiden and he goes, wait, what about him? What do we do? And Aiden goes, I don't know, you tell me. And the zombies are now crawling in through the windows, and I think Jesse is a little bit panicked, but he doesn't ever want to just let someone die, right? Not in front of his little brother. He wants to teach him the right way of doing things. So he's actually going to, on his drive here, he's going to be picking up this old man. We got 1 success. And so he is dragging this old preacher man to the back door. And we're going to drag this old preacher man out the back door. And we're going to shut the back door behind us with our backpack just full of guns. And we're going to drag him with us to the church. Or do we take him to the church? I don't think we take him to the church. But he knows that that's where we're at, right? Maybe once he sobers up, he won't be such a piece of shit. Maybe that's what Jesse's thinking. So yeah, we're going to drag him to the church. This old preacher man needs a name and some better descriptors. And what we're going to do actually, can I close all this for a sec? Game's still paused. We have Oh, I actually updated this map as well, by the way. So this is what it looks like now. I updated it. Wait, this isn't the updated one either. I'll find it. It'll be fine. We all know what we're talking about, don't we? Or is that isn't it either? Okay, no, it's fine. Guess I'll have to update it for the next episode. We're gonna take this drunken preacher and all these guns, and we are going to tie up this drunken preacher, and we're gonna put him in the office because there's nothing else in there. We could put him in the storage room actually, because we really don't have shit to store in there. So we're gonna put him in there, and we're gonna tie him up, and we're gonna take stock of everything that we just got, and we're gonna make NPC rolls. And next episode, we're gonna figure out what to do with this preacher. It's crazy. Not at all what I thought was going to happen. Okay. So in the middle of the night, Jay and Aiden rush back into Havenwood, and I think by this time the other folks are back too from their little runs, which we will roll on in a second. And they're like just dragging this priest across the ground, and he's drunk and passed out and got a big old black eye and maybe like a blood coming out of his nose from where Jay hit him with the butt of the gun, and they're just dragging him in. And I think Big Mike and Torka and even CC, they're like, what's going on? Like, what happened? And Jay's like, it's a long story. I'm gonna have to explain it in a second, but check this out. And he pulls his backpack off and tosses it over to Big Mike, and Mike grabs it and goes, whoa, and sets it on a little table or on the ground or something, maybe a little table that he's made, and unzips it and starts unloading everything out of his backpack. And I found this little, it's not really a little chart or nothing, it's just the gear section in this book, and it kind of just has, you know, short little descriptors and stuff. But what I actually want to do, because there's 8 different guns, so what I can do is roll a d8 11 times, and that will tell us how much we get here. And if we bring up Havenwood, we have it over there as a character sheet. We can actually then go over to gear, go down to ranged weapons. So as we roll them, we can just drag and drop them in there, so we don't have to like keep crazy track of everything. Okay, here we go. 7, that's an assault rifle. Another 7 is another assault rifle. That's a 5, that's 1 sniper rifle. I know I'm being kind of generous, but we rolled the dice about the guns earlier and we got 11. That's a 4, just a regular rifle, which is, I think, what most of these are going to be. That's another rifle. That's a 3, that's a shotgun. 2 is a pipe gun. And you get it. I'll tell you at the end what we got. 7, 6 is submachine gun. That's a new one. Okay, we get 1 more. Still haven't rolled an 8 yet. Another 6, which makes another submachine gun. Okay, now how much ammo do we have? That's another question for another episode. But for now, that's what we got. So there's another thing here. If we actually go over to our rollable tables, we can actually go down to item quality. And as we can see in here, we have broken, useless, bad, okay, and roll again. If another 6, then it's extremely good quality. So we could actually roll on this to see what exactly Aiden found, at least what the item quality is. Draw results, we got a 1. Okay, so broken and useless. Our boy thought it was good. He got some broken handcuffs. Oh, he thought they were good because we could, you know what I mean? It'll help handcuff the old man. He thought it was great, but they're kind of broken, so they don't really work very well. But we'll use those on the old man. Okay, good job there, Aiden. Okay, so our NPC runs are a little bit different when you're playing solo. What we're gonna do is, the issue with the Foundry thing is very annoying. After consulting the table on page 93, here in the Foundry module, these things don't have page numbers. None of them do. So I'm like, okay, which page is page 93? There's no way for me to know. What is it even talking about? And so there's been a couple times in this thing where I've talked about how much I've hated the layout of this Walking Dead core RPG. I meant the Foundry module of it, because there's no way, and you can't search for things up here. If you try to search, it's just searching chapters, which I think is stupid. That's pointless. You could just see them. I don't know. Anyways, let's try to figure out what the hell they're talking about. Okay, I can't figure it out. So instead, I'm just gonna roll yes or no. After consulting the table on page 93 to see if NPCs return with any loot, I'm just gonna roll yes or no. Roll a d6 to determine how much they found. Also, we get to roll to see if they came back with any rumors about the surrounding area. Okay, let's see. Let's put it back at 5, just so it's not complicated. Did Mike come back with any rumors? 50-50. Yes. Cool. Did Torka come back with any rumors? 50-50. Exceptional no. So Torka didn't see or hear from anybody. Lastly, did CC get any rumors over the radio? Which I think should be the only question. No. Okay, well actually I'm gonna take that Mike yes and put it over at CC is what I'm gonna do. So she hears something from the radio. Now, does Mike come back with scavenging? 50-50. 31 is a yes. And Torka's not only good with the area, he's good at scouting, so we're gonna make it likely. Does he come back with any? Yes, cool. All right, so now we're gonna roll a d6 for Mike. That's a 6. Roll 3 times on the scavenging table. And now for Torka, roll 3 times. That's another 6. You'll see this? That's wild. Okay, so we're rolling 6 times on the scavenging table. What an episode, dude. This just feels like it's going too well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's open up chat. From the bottom, we got a big tarp and rope, pack of candles. Wish I could drag and drop them. Plastic bags filled with moldy bread, so we got 2 rations. A bottle of porridge for 1 ration. We got a tent, tater tots, and a bottle of lemonade for another ration. And that's it. Very good. Very good, guys. Some more food, big tarp and rope, and some bags. All right, what is the rumor? Okay, we have rumor examples. And I'm just going to use this because that seems fun. And then we could judge it however we want. So CC tells Jay over the radio, I heard someone talking about, someone was clearly trying to make a home at my old school. Someone was talking about, there's a school in town someone was trying to make a home out of. The football field has been transformed into a cornfield, and there were things built on the roof to collect water, but there was not a living soul around. So there's something going on at the high school here in town. So that's another rumor thread that we have. And then after all that's said and done, Jay sits down with the rest of the group and tells him what happened with this random priest. He was angry and drunk, and Jay didn't want to kill him, but he didn't want to leave him for dead, but he doesn't know what to do about him. So after he knocked him out, he brought him back here, and we got a bunch of guns from his house, but his house currently has 4 walkers in it, probably more. They're going to come from all the sound that went down. This is what it looks like with all the items in it, by the way. And then I'll put the extra stuff in there. Actually, it's a little better. So 2 assault rifles, 3 rifles, 2 submachine guns. No, sorry, 3 assault rifles, 3 rifles, 2 submachine guns, a pipe gun, a shotgun, and a sniper rifle. And we need a name for this priest. Everybody watching, we need a name for this priest and maybe what he looks like a little bit. I like to put diversity in my parties, right? So if you guys have any ideas for maybe another race that he could be, please make sure to shoot it. Maybe he's connected to something else going on in the world. I'll have to think about that a little bit. I don't know if he'll even live once he wakes up. If he's still got a bad attitude, we're gonna have to roll on it. We'll kind of see how it goes. He's gonna be a problem, but we have all these guns and it might be time to go to the mall. I don't know, but I think this is gonna end this episode right here. This is where we're at. We're back. We did our run. There's a lot that happened and a very quick little time limit there. So let me know what you guys think about everything that happened. And if you have any ideas or if I missed anything, because it kind of a lot happened really quickly. So if I said something and forgot about it, please remind me in the comment. And for now, my friends, use the links down in the descriptions to help support the show and take a seat on the couch. Roll for initiative, at least until the end of the world comes and you yourself get to punch a zombie in the face. Roll on that, weirdos. I'll see you next time. Yes. It's crazy. Not at all what I thought was going to happen.